So,
how'd you get that?
well, I got too close to our own artillery. That's how I got that. Well, they never admitted that it was ours, but didn't nobody have that kind of stuff. We had they admitted they had mortars, but they didn't have this big this 105 houses and stuff. They didn't have all that stuff. So
yeah, they didn't admit that you had a lot of stuff, didn't they?
I knew what it was when it landed. I knew what it was. I heard it coming in. I knew what it was. It's called a short round. It landed too close to it. Wasn't detrimental. But it was too close.
Yeah, they have a habit of denying they had a whole lot of stuff back then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, we was well equipped. We was well equipped and well able to take care of ourselves. And handicapped in the sense that we was limited as to where we could go.
When you first got malaria, how did you know that something was wrong? What were your first signs?
106 temperature. And they sent me to the field hospital. And they take blood samples and they verify you did or you didn't have it. Because if you had 106, they knew when you went in there. They knew what you had.
What was it like battling malaria for?
Have you ever heard the phrase sick as a dog? That was just about it. Weak as a kitten. That was just about it. Nothing tastes right as long as your temperature was up and all that stuff like that. And food made you sick, and water made you sick. Anything you could run into made you sick. Get your temperature down. It still took a while for you to get back to some kind of normality. But that was the biggest problem. You know, I found you learn something from anything you go through. I found out when your temperature is real high, you shiver when you feel cold. And you need water, you need ice to get it down, help get it down with the medication you get. You need that to get it down. But after a while, though, you put it underneath your arm, after a while it begins to feel warm. The water feels warm, but you still shiver. It's a crazy thing, you know what I mean? And oftentimes people get deliveries. I don't recall anybody ever tell me I got delivered, but I may have, but I don't recall, you know, I guess I wouldn't have known it myself. Nobody ever told me, but some guys who got delivered, they can speak all out of their mind and everything like that. But sick as a dog, weak as a kitten. That's what I can say.
You said you remained active for 5 more months. Were you in Walter Reed for all 5 months?
I was at Walter Reed Hospital, sure, was out there for all 5 months. The additional 5 months. In fact, I guess it was about more or less about 7 months, I think, because I did 5.5 months. Of course, 6 months. I did 5.5 months over the, you know, I was past my discharge date. And I had been in there for about a month and a half over there. So, and that walls can move in on you there too. You got, let's see, with naturally being military, you don't have rooms, you have wards. And you got 110, 115. You had a malaria ward, so you're looking at 110, 150, 120 people on that ward. And they constantly running into each other at different stages of health, you know what I mean? Some's been confined to bed, some up walking around, but they just have to be checked and all that stuff. I was only confined to bed after I got back to the States. Probably 2-3 days, and that was for observation. They want to keep me there for observation. I'm constantly wanting to get up and get around, you know what I mean? But they kept me there for running tests, and they finally decided to let you sit up all you want to, you know what I mean? And at night, and of course, you know, every hour, I guess, every other hour anyway, they was checking you for something, drawing blood up, checking your temperature and all that stuff. So, no such thing as good duty then.
What was your treatment like for the malaria?
Malaria, well, naturally started out with quinine. But they found out that we didn't respond too well to quinine. In fact, deals I told you, I had a little infection. I got a little infection nose because I stayed out in the field. So they started giving me quinine, and they gave me, I know I'm do stuff. They gave me a strong dose of antibiotics to make sure that infection didn't get away. And I guess the quinine didn't like the antibiotics, and I got sick of the dog, weak in the kitten again. But they didn't give me any more. They found out that the quinine wasn't doing it, and they put us on a drug. They put most people on a drug called DDS, and they put me on another drug. I don't know what it was, but they put me on another drug. And the DDS, they oftentimes draw blood from me and do all that stuff. Well, I didn't have to do that. All I had to do was take pills. And I responded a lot quicker. In fact, I was the first one to get out of the hospital. And they gave me a statement that says, he has malaria. If I got a card, he still got it somewhere now. It says he has malaria fever. He's probably cured. But if you find him, call this number. That's Walter Reed number. So I never had any problem with malaria again. I did have some problems. The effects of the treatment and stuff I had. Because I may want to admit that.
Of course not. What effects did you have?
I hate run. It raised havoc with my left kidney. And I had never had a problem with my kidneys before, but raised havoc with my left kidney. And they would give me a dose of antibiotics to clear it up, and that was it. And they never did relate. They never did relate the two together. This was the cause of this. And I found out later on they called it. What did they call that? They called it. They call it something, but it had to do with my kidneys. And then they later on, when they admit that Agent Orange existed, they admit that the two was connected.
Is that the only effects you had of Agent Orange?
I come down with prostate cancer as a result of that too.
Really?
Yeah, I sure did. Later on years, I come down with prostate cancer, and I took chemo for 21 days, and took another shot of chemo for another 30 days. Then I took radiation for 63 days, and that was it. And I still go back periodically check it. PSI level and all that stuff, so forth, so good in that. But in fact, they told me they tried to tell me I was cured, you're back to normal. I said, well, I don't understand the normality when I'm dealing with 4 or 5 things that I never had to deal with before I started taking the treatment. And so they knocked me back to 20% disability rather than 100. And then later on, they knocked it up to 10 because that ringing I constantly have in my ear, they felt what affected my ear, and I've had that before, even before I come out of service. They knew about that, so they kicked it back up to 40.
So what caused the ringing in the ear?
Oh, well, they say being too close to loud weapons. But I always got a ringing when they gave me that quinine. And they gave me a whole lot of it when they found out that I had malaria fever. I took quinine every day. Well, you should take it once a week to prevent it. And every time you take it, it would ring. Now, when you start taking it every day, you just don't ring the band, please. But they said that wasn't it. Said it was still being too close to those weapons. You know what I'm trying to say? Well, I come to the conclusion that wasn't necessarily the case, because I had a worse problem in my ear. When you fire a rifle, the right ear is closer to the weapon, you know what I'm saying? Or the other weapons you fire, is closer to your right ear than it is to your left ear. So I couldn't buy that. That's the report. That's what goes in the reports.
Oh, of course. course. Yeah. What other health effects have you had from either Agent Orange or from the Quana or anything?
The kidney problem I've had, the kidney problem I've had, and it reoccurs from time to time.
Mm.
In fact, that's the way I found out that I had prostate cancer, because my kidneys were acting up, and I developed a gallstone, and it got in my bladder, and was moving around in there, and I was passing blood. I'd never seen anything like it before.
Mm.
And they kept checking me, and they said, well, you don't even have an infection. Well, I hope not, I said. And so they started one test after another, one test after another. They found out that my prostate was a little enlarged. They said it's normal for your age. This is one side is worse than is larger than the other. So they gave me a biopsy. Then they found the cancer cells. And they was one of the things that was listed as Agent Orange connected.
Do you know about how many times you were exposed to Agent Orange?
Every day I was there.
Wow.
See, Agent Orange is basically what it was. It's a strong overdose of herbicides. Was designed to kill the foliage in the jungle, so the enemy couldn't break up its hiding place. But the jungle was the place that we was patrolling. And there were times that we was patrolling, they was spraying Agent Orange over our head. You could feel it drop it falling down on you. Well, you inquired what it was. You said, well, they dropping that Agent Orange. What's the Agent Orange about? Well, it's going to kill the foliage. Well, when I was in college, I majored in agriculture. And we studied herbicides, pesticides, and things of that nature. And I know if it's going to kill the foliage in the jungle, I wasn't even supposed to be in the jungle when they dropped it. See, I knew that. But now, I wasn't that close to it all the time. But there's only one time I remember, I can actually remember it falling on me. Mm. But I operated in some of the jungle areas where the foliage had died, so that meant it was still there. It was still there. So I knew that was some bad stuff, and I know the military don't dance by anybody else's rules. They'll take a chance for you know. The EPA wouldn't. EPA don't control them. But I was there for a short period of time. I'd hope I had beat that rap, but you know.
Short period of time is all it took, right?
Huh?
A short period of time is all it took.
Well, with that amount, I mean, with the way they were spreading it out, you could come in contact with that stuff one time and it could have an effect on you. But because we didn't have the best showers and things over there either, you know, when you come in contact with stuff like that, you're supposed to go shower yourself down with good wash with soap and water. That's what they tell you. That's what they teach us how to do it here. You know what I'm trying to say. But there, you kept on marching through the jungle. You know what I'm trying to say. So it's different stuff. And so when I got back, we was guarding the air base, and I remember they shipped some of it in. And when I saw it on the package there, and I read the description, I knew how dangerous it was. But I didn't know what they was going to do with it. That was one thing. That's what they dropping that Agent on. That's, oh my goodness. That's a say. This can't be good. And the reason why it was called Agent Orange, because it had some color. The bag was bright orange color. So that it was dangerous. It was dangerous. When you think moving things of that nature, the colors tell you that they are dangerous.